California's primary election is quickly approaching. On June 7th, California voters will gather at the polls to vote for positions like U.S. Senate, Governor, Secretary of State, and Attorney General, just to name a few. If you've received your ballot, you've probably noticed the office of U.S. Senate is listed twice. In 2016, Kamala Harris became the first Indian American U.S. Senator and the first Black senator to represent California, serving in that position until she was sworn in as Vice President of the United States last year. When the senatorial position became vacant, Governor Gavin Newsom appointed then Secretary of State Alex Padilla to fill the position. But the appointment is only temporary because, according to Cal Matters, in May 2021, the California legislature passed a law calling for the vote to take place during the regularly scheduled election this November. And Centennial High School social studies teacher Joey Byron says that's why Californians will be asked to vote twice to elect a senator to fill the remainder of Harris's term, which ends in January, and then elect a senator to serve for the next 6 years.
In both races, both for the partial finishing the term and the full Senate term, we're voting in a primary. So we're going to narrow the candidates down to two candidates. And then those two candidates will be on the ballot for November. So Alex Padilla, regardless, is going to be the senator until November, and then he could be replaced in November for the remainder of that term.
23 candidates are listed on the ballot, hoping to be elected as the next U.S. Senator to represent California for the full term, including incumbent Alex Padilla. Meanwhile, there are 8 running for the partial term. All 8 of these candidates, including Padilla, are running for both races. I spoke to Senator Padilla and a few other candidates to learn more about why each believe their goals will benefit Californians.
If I'm fortunate enough to be reelected and earn the trust again of the voters of California, I certainly look forward to continuing to tackle the fight for voting rights. Every state in the nation should have it as good as we have it in California for eligible voters to be able to register, to stay registered, and cast their ballot in every single election.
Since Alex Padilla was appointed to the U.S. Senate to represent California by Governor Gavin Newsom to replace then Senator Kamala Harris, he says at the top of his list are voting rights, immigration reform, and climate change. But when asked about inflation after criticism from other candidates about spending, he says he understands firsthand the record high prices of everyday items and says he's already helped create plenty of solutions.
There's a lot of individual measures in the works, including the rebate for working families from these oil company windfall profits. That's number one. There's another plan that would significantly limit the cost of prescription drugs, not just for our seniors, but especially for our seniors that Republicans refuse to support.
However, there are 23 other candidates running for U.S. Senate, and a few we spoke to say they are ready to implement their own solutions. 23 ABC spoke to candidates Mark Moyser, James P. Bradley, Daphne Bradford, and John Thompson Parker. Republican candidate Mark Moyser is an attorney, entrepreneur, and athlete. He says he is running for U.S. Senate to fight for the constitutional rights of Americans.
I'm going to be fighting for common sense, balancing our budget, not spending money that we don't have, going in and auditing for fraud, abuse, and duplicate spending in our budget.
And if elected, will focus on controlling inflation.
When people of the United States can't even have to take a second mortgage in order to buy a tank of gas, yet we're going to spend billions of dollars overseas, there's a problem with our priorities right now. And I'm going to be fighting for we, the people, whether it's dealing with outdated immigration policies that we have right now, where it's easier for somebody to cross this country illegally than go through the process to enter the country legally. We got problems there. We have issues with inflation that is just going out of control because of our spending.
Independent candidate Daphne Bradford is an entrepreneur and educator. Bradford says if elected, she will continue to advocate for women's rights.
With Roe versus Wade and the threat of it being overturned, we need more women in the Senate to fight for us.
Bradford says she will also fight to implement better law enforcement reform, improve health care, and also tackle inflation.
We need to look at this whole supply chain issue. Why are we in the United States can't feed our babies. That's crazy. You know, are we going to outsource that now? No, we can't. We shouldn't have to do that. We're the United States of America. We should be taken care of.
Next is Republican candidate James P. Bradley, a veteran and small business owner. Bradley says he's returning to the Senate race after a 2018 loss against Dianne Feinstein to push for education reform.
We've seen the schools going off the rails, Common Core being put in play, and now we're embedding into our school system here CRT, which I feel we're going down the wrong path clearly, as well as the parents losing their rights as parents in the classroom, being able to approve certain curriculum.
Bradley is also focused on agricultural issues like water storage and forestry management, in addition to homelessness.
I've been working with the homeless for the last 4 years, dealing with them and finding out what the root issues are, but more importantly, how to get them off the streets.
And lastly, candidate John Thompson Parker is running for election to the U.S. Senate on behalf of the Peace and Freedom Party. Parker is the coordinator for the Harriet Tubman Center for Social Justice in Los Angeles and the leading member of the Socialist Unity Party. Parker is also making a return to the Senate race after his 2018 loss against Feinstein.
Police brutality is still a big issue here. Racism is still a big issue here.
Along with his goals to combat racism and police brutality, Parker wants to tackle production, supply, and inflation issues.
You know, there's a shortage of baby formula now because of decisions on profit and not based on the babies that need the formula. So that's one of the main reasons we're running, is to try to empower folks to understand that they need to be the ones in charge, not these rich 0.01% of the population.
23ABC spoke to 4 of the 23 candidates, as well as current U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. Bradford also wants U.S. citizens to understand voting is an individual choice and to do research on each candidate before placing a vote.